one of those guys where your dad's gonna be like, "Oh, I've seen him in that thing, and then he was in that other thing, and then he was in that thing, and oh, your mom loves him in that thing." Paul Reiser, how are you?
You know what? If you go to my website, my ID, my little thing says, my bio goes, the guy from the thing, you know. Yes, you do. That's exactly how I like to be known as, you look familiar. My favorite thing is when somebody comes over and says, I think I know you. Do I know you? Who are you? And then I'll help out. I'll go, Paul Reiser. And I'll go, no. I go, yeah, I don't know how to help you. That's all I had. That's all I had to offer.
How many times have you found yourself in the I don't want to tell you who I am because you can't remember who I am situation?
Well, it's just so pathetic because, you know, if you know somebody, you know, if you don't want to be standing in an airport reciting your entire IMDb list and like, was it this? No, I saw it in something. Was it this? No, and by the third one, I go, well, you figure it out. I got a plane to catch. But nice to meet you.
You have such an expansive career, like in terms of just television and film. We're going to be talking about your upcoming date here, though, at the Great Belushi Theater here on the north side of Chicago. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I mean, like, you've done a lot of different types of roles. You're not like a one dimensional player guy, especially as a comedian. You've been able to do a lot of dramatic stuff too.
I've been lucky and done a lot of stuff and some dramatic stuff and a lot of comedy stuff. It's funny to me still to realize that so many people I meet are surprised, or they go, "Oh, I'll be out plugging these live performance shows," and they go, "Oh, I didn't know he does comedy." I'm like, "What do you mean you didn't know? Like, if you don't have to know me, but if you knew me, but that's where I started." But the truth is, and I've talked about this, I took a lot of years off. I didn't get out on the road at all, and wasn't performing stand up for what turned out to be 20 years. I mean, when Mad About You started and through the run, and then afterwards I was kind of staying home for a while. So in fairness, I was off the radar in terms of comedy, but it strikes me odd because, you know, that's my love. That's what I love to do. It's not what I'm most known for, but it's the part I love doing most. So when I get to go out and play a beautiful theater, the Belushi Theater, I didn't even know that's what it was called. That's fantastic.
You're in the Belushi Performance Hall at the Minikin Art Center in Glen Allen, coming up here on Friday, October 17th.
Mechanic, the Mac. That's why they call it the Mac. Let's just cut our loss.
You're going to be at the Mac. Tickets are available at paulreiser.com and at themac.org. He will be at the Mac in Glen Ellen coming up here Friday, October 17th at 7:30. I also perform stand-up comedy, so getting to talk to you and see your stuff and know the body of work you have, it's almost like two different lanes. Like, you got a very successful acting career, and a lot of people know you from television, film, and Stranger Things, and all these different shows. And then the pleasure you have, though, of going and performing in front of an audience. Is there a chip on your shoulder? You mentioned that, like, oh, I didn't know you do stand-up. Does that immediately make you say, like, ooh, I'm going to let you like, especially if you hear that before you get on stage?
No, well, I don't talk to anybody before I go on stage because it can ruin the whole thing.
Yes.
No, it doesn't. It's not a chip. But it's just sort of it's striked me, you know, because you know, we all have a different perception. Often have a different perception of ourselves, different than what other people think of you. So, you know, somebody might think of you in a certain lane, and I know how important stand-up has been to me, and so I'm always a little surprised, like, oh, I haven't really made my huge dent in that world. But it's, as I say, it's understandable. You know, and I took a long time off. It was funny when I went back after all those years, I would go into the clubs and I'd see guys who were really funny. I said, well, who's this guy? He's good. They go, yeah, he's selling out arenas. I'm like, oh, I never heard of him. You know, like, oh, they're big. This Jim Gaffigan guy, he seems funny. Yeah, he's very, very successful. And so I was just sort of not paying attention. And literally an entire generation of great talent was out there blossoming.
So what was it like to get back out there and start building up the set that you're going to be performing here on the 17th? And yeah,
well, it's funny. I remember when I first went back, and it's been about 8 or 9 years now. I got dipped my foot back in the water. But I would call a club. This club I like to perform at out here. It's about a 45-minute drive from my house. and Comedy and Magic Club in Hermosa Beach. And first of all, this is how I knew I gotten older. I said, listen, I'm going back out. Can I try some material? They said, yeah, come on down anytime. The show starts at 10. I went, at night? No. I don't think I can do that. That's very late because I like to be in pajamas 8:45. So that was a shocker. And then I would go out and I had been on TV and I was somewhat known. So I drop in and they would introduce me as the surprise guest. The audience would, this is really lovely and make you feel great. And then that lasts 11 seconds. And then they look at you like, and what is it you wanted to say? I went, that's the one I don't have. See, I don't have that. So I had very little. But as you know, it's not just the material, it's also the muscle, So yeah. I had literally 5 minutes and I was just sort of just getting out of bed, like flexing a muscle. And so I had 5 minutes, which in a week or two was 7 minutes, 9 minutes, 11 minutes. But more than that, it was the muscle of how do you switch? How do you shift? How do you see, that bit actually goes with this bit. And I don't have to be so clever. I can just stop and start this routine. So that took a good year, And I'm out. I did a special that came out last year. So what I'm out with now is largely new. It's mostly stuff since that special. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff that I had put aside and was not in the special. I went, that's actually I know how to do that bit better now. So but as you know, you're constantly working on it. You never get it. Yeah. You never go, yeah, there it is. It's perfect. It's like, no, it's fluid and moving.
I just taped my first one independent, did it all of ourselves, right? And I just saw the first rough draft of it. And then there's all these things. It's like, I wish I had. It's because it's done. We don't have another take of it. So, I wish I could change all those. There's a passion in that, though, right? There's a passion. Sure. Like that's a different spark that hits in you.
And that's why it's always great to have tomorrow. You go, I got another show tomorrow. I want to try that new line. I'm going to try cutting that. And sometimes even when you nail it, the next day it's gone. Like, I'll tell you a funny story. I don't know if it's funny, but it was very telling. It's about 20 years ago. I did my only theater. I did an off-Broadway play in New York that was written and directed by Woody Allen. And he did these 2 one-act plays. And it was no money, and it was a 99-seat theater off Broadway. But the fun was working with Woody Allen. He was directing. And the fun part was during previews and rehearsals, he would come back after each show and he would go over and he would change. And he was still. And I remember one night he went, that line, it didn't get a laugh tonight. I went, that was, why? Because I think I screwed it up. I walked at the wrong. I looked down and I tripped on a word. He said, but it worked yesterday. So why didn't it work today? I went, are you new? Do you really? And I thought, wow, that's the blessing curse that we all have. Here's this guy who's been doing it for 70 years, and he's still going, I'm flummoxed. Why it didn't work today when it did work yesterday? And I thought, okay, that's just our cross to bear, figuring it out all the time.
October 17th at themac.org, paulreiser.org, an opportunity to see someone who's been doing it for such a long time at such an amazing level, and also rediscovering, which is an exciting thing. Let's go back to you starting stand-up. Everyone has one. This is a story I think all comics want to share. What's your most delightful to share? Why am I doing this show? Maybe verging on bomb story. Why am I performing in front of like these like gaming machines in the corner at a bar story? Because everyone has one of those, even if you're the guy they saw in Stranger Things or Aliens or something. Like we all have those as comics.
Oh, for sure. But one of the things that was very informative to me early on, if I had a great night and got laughs, it was like, it was like a drug. Like I can't wait to do this again. And I remember one night I had a bad night. And this was early on. And I don't remember if it was the audience was bad or I was just bad, but it was bad. And I got off stage and my thought was, I can't wait till tomorrow to do it again, to get this taste out of my mouth. So and I thought, wait a minute, if the good night and the bad night both lead me to wanting to do it again, I must be in the right business. I realized, oh, I think I love this. I love the challenge of this. But I'll tell you what, I remember in the very beginning, you go on late, and there's a hierarchy. So the new kids are going on at 1 o'clock, 2 in the morning. So and I lived at the time. I lived far. It was like a 20-minute drive, and I didn't want to come in if there was nobody there. So I remember I called up the club and I said, "Yeah, spot anybody there?" And the owner said, "Well, there's one guy, but he's a laugher." And I went, "Okay." And I got in my car and I drove down to play to that guy. It's like, I'll do it. It's stage time. It all helps.
Get the reps.
If he was one guy, but he's not a laugher, yeah, I don't want to come in for that. But if he is a laugher, that's encouraging.
We all know that one person at the open mic that's really gassing it up for you when the material's not there. I love sharing these stories with you, Paul. Once again, October 17th at themac.org in Glen Ellen, paulreiser.com as well. Paul, so exciting to see you. And we're in the special. Tell them about the special, because the specials, that's all relatively new stuff too, right?
Yeah, it just came out almost a year ago, like November last year. It's called Life, Death, and Rice Pudding, which you'll understand if you watch the whole show. And we shot it in Denver, beautiful theater on a college campus. And, it was the first special I had done in 30-something years.
Wow.
And I was, well, it was a long time, as I said, I wasn't even out performing. But even when I came back, I was at first reluctant to do a special because, you burn up the material. And I thought, well, that's a good challenge to have. Burn it, put it out there, let people enjoy it. But I also wanted to sort of plant my flag, go, here's what I'm doing. Here's where I am today. And forever, good or bad, it's out there. And then it's up to me, to write the next hour. And as you know, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. But it's great. And that's why these are fun, because a lot of the stuff I'm still playing with, and I go, all right, that's almost a joke. it's on its way. And a lot of the stuff is great. But also your perspective changes. I think I'm a very different comic than I was, hopefully, 40 years ago. And you get older and you get better at it. And it's funny, I find you get better at writing, but you also get more rigid about editing. So the result is it's still just as hard to come up with new stuff, even though you have more ideas. You go, yeah, that's not good enough, and it just you whittle it down. And but I feel very comfortable saying that the show in Glen Ellen, that's going to be perhaps the best show I've ever done. So I feel it. I got a feeling in my gut. This is the one. Yeah. If you miss it, you're crazy. So I'll see you then. It's next week already. Gee, that is Friday the 17th.
Yes, October 17th. Paul, such a pleasure to talk to you, man. Such a great time to talk about comedy with you and all that great stuff. Definitely go check out everything he's doing. Thanks for the time.
Thank you. Take care now.
All right.